Hi there and welcome. My name is Jordan and here I share my health story, and for me that just so happens to be with lichen sclerosus. If you don't already know my story, I was diagnosed when I was 8 and I later healed myself from constant flares when I was 24 and went into remission, a more natural route after years of using steroid creams. And so that's what I share here. Today's video will be what I would do if I found out I had lichen sclerosus today, as a 28-year-old rather than an 8-year-old. And finding out as an adult, I definitely would guide myself in a different way, being who I am today. And so I thought I would share that in a video and hopefully help others that are just diagnosed with lichen sclerosus, maybe geared towards a more natural route or at least present other resources. So let's get into it and just hypothetically say like I am the same person that I am today, have all the same interests, but I found out I had lichen sclerosus today. Went to the doctor and they told me, oh, you actually have this thing called lichen sclerosus. We don't know what causes it. We don't have any cures, but we do have a steroid cream that you can use for the rest of your life to manage your symptoms. And we want you to come in ever so often so that we can keep an eye on it. We recommend to start once a month. So if I were presented with that situation, I would say, oh, thank you so much. That really makes a lot of sense with the symptoms I've been experiencing. I'm going to go home and do my research. And let's say I am who I still am. I have all the same interests and people that I look up to. And for me, that is Barbara O'Neill is one of the people I really look up to. And she treats the body naturally. Like if you're sick, she recommends doing like the onions on the bottom of your feet, which actually really helps. It helps my kids a lot. But with the knowledge from her book, Self-Heal by Design, I would have a preconceived idea of when your body is not in a optimal state, it is probably because it is too acidic. And the first thing I personally would do is I would go on an alkaline diet immediately. I would get rid of coffee, sugar, gluten, and I would go for mostly vegetables and some fruits. If you haven't seen her book before, it is this one, and it is a really great read and it's informative. It is not about lichen sclerosus, but it is about what's believed to be mostly the root cause to like 98% of the problems, including cancer, and that is like mold or fungus within the body, and how almost all health issues are rooted in being too acidic. So the very first thing I would do is I would go on an alkaline diet while I was doing my research, just to settle things down. The next thing I do is I would dive into as much research as I could about lichen sclerosus. For me, I would personally look for like more natural options, but I would consider at that time everything. I like to look at uplifting stories, that give you the hope that you can heal your body, because I do deeply believe that you always can in just about every situation. So I would probably Google it first because that's the most accessible, and I am a millennial, so I would Google it and I'd find the Lichen Sclerosus Support Network, and in that website is a gal's story of how she treated her lichen sclerosus naturally through diet. And so that would be really encouraging to me. I'd probably find out that they have a YouTube channel, and I'd watch some of those videos. And then I would go into looking for books to dive deeper into the subject, other than just like the snippets here and there that you get online. And I'm pretty cheap, so I know that I would buy the Help I Have Lichen Sclerosus book first because it's only $10. Someone has mentioned that you can get it on, I don't know if it was Kindle or Audible, something like that, for free, so check that out first. And this book was really helpful in learning different ways to treat the symptoms of lichen sclerosus, including borax, which I'd never heard of before, and you can use it to help release any fusing. In here they also touch on diet, but I would not use this book as a guide for lichen sclerosus diet. It's not very thorough, and I think it contradicts itself a little bit in certain spots. But after reading this book, I'd be like, oh my goodness, that was so insightful. Let me go for the more expensive book. And the more expensive lichen sclerosus book would be the Lichen Sclerosus Beating the Disease. And look at how monstrous this is. It's really big. And this one, you kind of have to take your time with because it can be overwhelming, because it could be a shock to the system of how in our modern society we are like overloaded with chemicals, and how those chemicals are toxic and affect our immune systems. But in these books, she also talks about like the fungus, the pathogens, which will remind you of the Self-Heal by Design Barbara O'Neill, and how it all kind of ties together. And then again in the lichen sclerosus, or the Help I Have Lichen Sclerosus, the borax, one of the most alkaline things you can get, is what people find to be one of the most helpful natural treatments. And of course, this book also goes over diet. So after accumulating knowledge through the books and the Lichen Sclerosus Support Network, I personally would feel very confident in treating lichen sclerosus naturally. But of course, that is a decision you have to make for yourself, and what is best for your body and what's best for one person won't be best for everyone else. But for me personally, that's how I would choose. And I would stay on an alkaline diet to bring the acidity of the body down. And also because every single research thing I would have come across so far mentions diet being the #1 thing to prevent flares and to settle them down when we do have them. So I would stick on a pretty strict diet, not introducing like the more alkaline foods, the gluten, the coffee, the sugar, at least until in a remission state. The third thing I would do is I would book a series of appointments with my traditional Chinese medicine practitioner, because they are able to help restore balance into your body. And if you're in a flare or have these symptoms coming up, clearly your body is not in balance. So to help support you in that process, and they can also help support you as you are detoxing from your environment. I should mention, after reading like the books and the websites, I would definitely detox my environment, specifically laundry soap. It's one of the most toxic substances we have in our homes, and that is obviously going right up against your skin and your underwear, and that can't be helpful. I would change all my body soap to all natural soaps, probably unscented to begin with. What else? I personally don't use any chemical cleaners in my home. I just think they have a really strong smell and I don't like it. But I would get rid of those as well. Personally, I probably would even go as far as getting like 100% cotton underwear, just so there isn't synthetic like chemicals against my skin that is causing an issue. Very last thing I would do to help support my body is if I were having trouble being intimate where it was painful, or I had to work through like the tightness of fused skin, I would also book appointments with a pelvic floor therapist, and I would look for one that has hands-on training, not just using like devices, because there are ones that have gone through like hands-on healing. And I want to add in here something else I have found really helpful for myself, and that was finding out which specific foods were triggering my autoimmune response. And because lichen sclerosus is an autoimmune disorder, finding those triggers can help settle things down. That was most helpful to me, so I would incorporate that too. So again, the alkaline diet, the research, Chinese medicine practitioner, pelvic floor therapist, and then the finding any food sensitivities I may have. I really hope this video can be helpful and a guide to those that are recently diagnosed. I wish you the very best. Or if you are interested in hearing more of my story, I go more in depth in it in other videos, and I also share my best tips to bring relief, like a peri bottle, cold compresses, that kind of thing. If you would be interested in that, please check out my lichen sclerosus playlist. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.